Hi guys, how are you? So we are continuing with our revision for paper 1, grade 12. That is algebra. So in doing so, I selected a question paper from November 2022. That is the question paper that was written by matriculants in 2022. So the first question here is saying solve for x, given that x squared plus 2x minus 15 is equals to 0. So solve for x given that x squared plus 2x minus 15 is equals to 0. So what you do with this question requires factorization. So what are you factorizing here? This is called a trinomial or a quadratic equation. So what you do here is you look for factors of 15 and 2. So it's product and addition. So when we say 15 and 2, oh, this is minus 15. We are looking for two numbers that if we multiply, they give us minus 15. If we add them, they give us a 2. So what are those factors? Those factors probably are 5 and 3. But we need to look at signs. Remember, I need a factors that when I multiply them, I get a 15, a negative 15. When I add them, I get a 2. So if I put a minus on 5, if I say minus 5 times 3 is equals to minus 15, minus 5 plus 3 is equals to no. So it means I need to have a negative 3 and a positive 5. So once I have these vectors, I create my two brackets. Then I say x minus 3, x plus 5 is equals to 0. So it means either x minus 3 is equals to 0, which gives us x is equal to 3, or x plus 5 is equals to 0, which gives us x is equals to minus 5. Therefore, x is equals to minus 5 or 3. This is our final answer. Let's move on to the next question, in which they are saying, solve for x given that 5x squared minus x minus 9 is equals to 0. Leave your answer to two decimal places. So when you see them saying leave your answer to two decimal places, know that they want you to use the quadratic formula. So let's copy the question down. So we have 5x squared minus x minus 9 is equals to 0. So if you are using the quadratic formula, then automatically this becomes our a, this becomes our b, and this becomes our c. So our quadratic formula is in the form of minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac or over 2a. So we are going to have here minus 1, because remember our b is the coefficient of x. So the coefficient of x is minus 1. Then plus or minus square root of minus 1 squared minus 4. Our a is 5. Then our c is minus 9. All over 2 multiplied by 5. So these are the values of x. Now from here, you can just quickly punch in your calculator and you get the values of x as x is equals to 1,45 and x is equals to minus 1,25. This is our final answer. So these were 3 marks. So if you got this correct, you're getting your 3 marks on number 1.1, then your 3 marks on number 1.2. Yes, now we move on to number 1.1.3, where they are saying solve for x given an inequality, x squared is less or equal to 3x. So what do we do when we are solving inequalities? The first thing that we need to do is to find the critical values. So by finding the critical values, let me just copy the question down. By finding the critical values, we are going to say x squared is equal to 3x. So when you're finding the critical values first, you just need to make the inequality an equation. Just put it in an equation form. So from here, we have to take this to the left-hand side, meaning that we are going to have x squared minus 3x is equals to 0. So critical values are the ones that you get when you solve this. So solving this, we factor out x, then x minus 3 is equals to 0. So it means either x is equals to 0 or x is equals to, sorry, x minus 3 is equals to 0, meaning that this becomes x is equals to 3. So our critical values are 0 and 3. So now when you have your critical values, I always urge you to use a graph. So how do you use your graph? What happens is you draw a number line, then you put your values, your critical value 0 here, you put 3 here, then you look at your graph. Is it a happy parabola or it's a sad parabola? But because the coefficient of x squared here is positive, so it means it's a happy parabola. It's going to be like this, with a smiling face. Then from here, what is the question saying? The question is saying, so for x, given that x squared is less than or equal to 3x, when we transpose this, we are going to have x squared minus 3x is less than or equal to, let me just put an equal to here, a less than sign, I mean. So what does this mean? It means what are the values of x for which x squared minus 3x is less than or equal to 0. When we say less than or equal to 0, we mean the part at which it's below the x-axis, or it's on the negative side of the y-axis, because remember, our y-axis are like this. So here, going down, that is where our inequality or our graph is less than 0. So which interval is this expression less than or equal to 0? Here, this graph is less or equal to 0 at this interval, meaning that we are talking of this part. So how do we write our solutions down then? So we have an interval here, meaning that we are going to say x is an element, or let me just say 0 is less or equal to x less or equal to 4. These are the values of x. Right, let us continue. So we are now going to question 1.2. So on question 1.2, they are saying given that a plus 64 over a is equals to 16, solve for a. So here we are given to solve for a, given that a plus 64 over a is equals to 16. So what you just do here is you look at the common denominator, then you multiply each and every term by the common denominator. So our common denominator here is a, so we are going to multiply everything by a. So by a here and by a here. And we are going to get a squared plus this and this will cancel, so we have 64 is equals to 16a. Then with we transpose this to that side, we are going to have a squared minus 16a plus 64 is equals to 0. Remember, they say whenever you're solving a quadratic equation, make the left-hand side equal to 0. So once we have this, now we are looking for factors of 64 and 16. Obviously, those factors are 8 and 8. So they all need to be negative. So we are going to have our bracket is a minus 8, a minus 8 is equals to 0, meaning that a is equals to 8 twice. Right, the value of a is 8. Because here you see we have a repeated bracket, so that's why we have to put twice here. Then we move on to question 1.2.2. It's a continuation of question 1.2.1. So now they're saying hence solve for x, given that, such that 2x plus 2x 2 to the power 2 to the power x plus 2 to the power 6 minus x is equals to 16. So we found the value of a is 8 here. Let me show you something that these two expressions are the same. So we are having 2 to the power x plus 2 to the power 6 minus x is equal to 16. Here we can write it as 2 to the power x plus, here is 2 to the power 6. So let me show you something. 2 to the power 6 minus x. Remember, if we say 6 to the power 2 to the power 6 dot 2 to the power minus x, this is what it means, right? Then here it's to the power positive, negative, I mean, meaning that we apply the negative law to say 2 to the power 6 divided by 2 to the power x. So here we are going to have 2 to the power x is equals to 16. Now, let's simplify. We have 2 to the power x plus 64 over 2 to the power x is equals to 16. So now when you look at this question and this one, they just replace the a with the 2 to the power x. So when they've replaced the a with the 2 to the power x, because they look the same, but a is just replaced with 2 to the power x, of which we got the value of a is 8 here. So we are just going to say 2 to the power x is equals to a, and 2 to the power x is equals to 8 since a is equals to 8. So it means 2 to the power x is equals to 2 to the power 3, and therefore x is equal to 3. This is our final answer. So we proceed to question 1.3, in which they are saying without using a calculator, simplify 2 to the power 1002 plus 2 to the power 1006 over 17 bracket 2 to the power 998. So they are saying simplify this kind of a question. So what I can do here is I play around with my exponents. Here I have 1002, 1006, 998. So I play around my exponents here in such a way maybe that I express them in terms of the lowest exponent that I have. So how do I express them in terms of the lowest exponent I have here? I'm going to have to say this is the same as saying 2000, 2 to the power 998 plus 4 plus 2 to the power 998 plus 8 all over 17 bracket 2 to the power 998. So there's nothing that I have changed here. Here I have 1002, and if I add 998 plus 4, I get 1002. The same here I have 1006. If I add 998 plus 8, I get 1006. Then here I have 998. So now we look at our expression inside the square root. We see that we have a common exponent here, which is 2 to the power 998. So let's factor out 2 to the power 998. We are going to have 2 to the power 998 bracket 2 to the power 4 plus 2 to the power 8. I understand now you know that you know your laws of indices, is it? Then here we factor out 2 to the power 998. Then here we are left with 17. Or under square root, right? So from here, this 2 to the power 998 and 2 to the power 998 will cancel, and we are left with square root of 2 to the power 4 plus 2 to the power 8 all over 17. And when we simplify everything here, the answer that we get is 16. This is our final answer. So now, when they say simplify without using a calculator, 2 to the power 1002, 2 to the plus 2 to the power 1006, all over 17 bracket 2 to the power 998. You can express it as in terms of the lowest exponent or also the highest exponent. For example, here, if I was going to express it in terms of the highest exponent, I was going to say this is 1006 minus 2, minus 4. Then here I put 1006. Then here it will be 1006 minus 8. Then we can take it from there. Now let's move on to our last question, which is a simultaneous. And simultaneous mostly carries 6 marks. So the question is saying, so for x given that 1 over x minus 3y is equals to 1 and 2x minus y is equals to 1. So we have 1 over x minus 3y is equals to 1. So we can say this is equation 1. Then 2x minus y is equals to 1. This is equation 2. So what do we do here? Here we look at, we're going to use the substitution, isn't it? But we look at the easiest equation in which we can make one unknown the subject, of which I think is equation 2. So if we say, we consider equation 2, we're going to say from equation 2, 2x, or let me just say y is equals to 2x minus 1. So once we get the value of y here, we substitute, sub in equation 1. So where there is y, we are going to put 2x minus 1, meaning that we are going to have 1 over x minus 3 bracket 2x minus 1 is equals to 1. So we are going to have 1 over x minus 6x plus 3 is equals to 1. Then we can multiply everything by x. We are going to have 1 minus 6x squared plus 3x is equal to x. So when we take everything here, we are going to have minus 6x squared. Then we transpose here, then we are going to have plus 2x. Then here, plus 1 is equal to 0. So now we have, well, let us just multiply everything by negative. We are going to have 6x squared minus 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. So now we look for factors of minus 6. Remember, this is the product, and negative 2. Factors of minus 6 and negative 2. Minus 6 and 2. What are those factors? Sorry, not negative 2, negative 1. Factors, oh yeah, it's negative 2. Factors of 6 and negative 2. So I think these factors are, no, I think there's somewhere I made a mistake. I think I made a mistake somewhere. Let me try to figure out. So here y is equal to 2x minus 1. Y is equal to 2x minus 1. Let me see. Oh yeah, I see where the mistake is. Yeah, it's equal to 2. Oh, okay. So let me start over again. Just from here, I guess. So the value of 2x minus y here is 2, not 1. So we are going to have y is equals to 2x minus 2. So substitute in equation 1. So when we substitute in equation 1, we are going to have y over x, 1 over x minus 3 bracket 2x minus 2 is equals to 1, which will give us 1 over x minus 6x plus 6 is equals to 1. So here what we do, we multiply everything by x. We're going to have 1 minus 6x squared plus 6x is equals to x. 1 times x. Remember, when you multiply by x, you are multiplying everything, including the right-hand side. So from here, I can rearrange and say minus 6x squared plus 5x. Remember, I'm going to transpose this x that side. Then plus 1 is equals to 0. So from here, what do? I can multiply everything by a negative, which will give me an expression like 6x squared minus 5x minus 1 is equals to 0. So now we want to solve for x here. What do? We look for factors of negative 6. Remember this product, negative 6 and minus 5. Factors of negative 6 and negative 5. Obviously, those factors are 6 and 1. Because we are looking for numbers, two numbers that if we multiply, we get 6. If we add, we get minus 5. So I think this should be a minus and this should be a positive. Minus 6 times 1 is minus 6. Minus 6 plus 1 is minus 5. Yeah, that's correct. So we are going to have our factors as minus 6 and 1, which will give us a bracket like 6x plus 1, then x minus 1 is equal to 0. So it means x is equal to minus 1 over 6, or x is equal to 1. So now that we found the values of x, we are going to substitute them into this equation to get the value of y. So we have y is equals to 2 bracket minus 1 over 6 minus 2, which will give us y is equals to, this is minus 1 over 3 minus 2, which is equals to minus, y is equals to minus 2 and minus 2 and 1 over 3. Yes. Then for the other one, we are going to have y is equals to 2 bracket 1 minus 2, which will give us y is equals to 0.